What's up, everyone? Thank you for tuning back into At Home Dude. I appreciate you today. We're gonna have a pretty interesting talk. We're just gonna be talking about saving up some money for the kids and what you can do to place it in different accounts. But before we get to all that, basically some parents reached out and personally we are looking into this. So that's why I made this video, just to drop some knowledge on some of you guys. There are a few different options and they can affect you in different ways, and a lot of them are different state by state. So just keep that in mind as I go through these. Anyways, I'm gonna get to the first one that I looked at was the Coverdell ESA. It is a savings plan, and I'm not gonna lie to you guys. Essentially, I looked into this and I saw that there is a $2,000 maximum limit that you can put into this account each year, and it doesn't matter who puts it in, it's for each beneficiary. So if I open one for my 3-year-old, no matter who puts money in, once it gets to 2,000 for this year, we cannot put any more money in. And because of that, I was just like, nah, bruh, nah. So I know this one may work for some of you out there, and I didn't look into it much further than this. It is very similar to the 529, but I didn't go further because even if this year I may not put $2,000 down into it, there may be years that I want to put more money into it. So I want to leave that open, and I immediately jump to the 529 from here. Okay, so the rest of this video is going to cover the 529 because there's so much information. I didn't want to make the video too long, but if you want to know about the UTMA or some of the other ideas that I had, just wait for next week and I will put out part 2 of this video. Now the 529 random information I'm going to throw at you. So first off, $15,000 limit before you begin to get a gift tax. So you can put as much as you want into this account in a year, but just understand after $15,000, you will begin to incur a gift tax. And about that $15,000, it is taxes on the one gifting the money. So if I have person A who gives my son $20,000 and then I have person B who gives $16,000, they're both gonna have to pay gift tax. My son is not going to have to pay it. And it also is not limited for my son. Oh, he can only receive $15,000. So don't get that confused. Just know that you can receive as much as anyone wants to give you, but the people giving have to pay taxes if it's over $15,000. So something interesting about this account is that you can put a lump sum in and you can let it run for years. It's kind of like a payment plan over years. So $15,000 is the cap for 1 year, but if you wanted to put a $30,000 lump sum in, then you wouldn't put any more money in for 2 years, but they let you put it in all together. And you can do up to 5 years, so up to $75,000 all lumped in together, and then you wouldn't touch it for the 5 years or whatever. So the benefit of this is putting in the $75,000, you would get more interest over that 5 years than if you would have put it in different installments. Next thing, the aggregate limit, which is the limit of this account, is essentially how much they expect for you to be able to pay for college with. So different states have different amounts. So to give you an example, in Georgia, the max is $355,000, whereas in California, there are more expensive schools, so the max is $529,000. Now, another benefit is that the people gifting can get a state income tax deduction. So if they give you money, then they can write that off on their taxes. It varies state by state. One of the common ones is if you are single, you'll get $2,000, up to $2,000. If you are married couple and you're gifting, you can get up to $4,000. Another great thing that I found out about this 529 account is that you can change the beneficiary. So I have 2 children. If my first child does not want to go to college, but I saved up all this money for him, I can only use the money for educational purposes, but I can change it to my second child. So they allow you to change it within reason for your relatives. So I believe the list I saw said parent, child, grandchild, and aunts and uncles. I didn't see anything about cousins, so don't try to bring your, 4th cousin into this and try to change the beneficiary to them. It may not work. But the cool thing is that my first son may not want to go to college, but maybe I want to go back to college. So what I do is I make myself the beneficiary and then I go to college. And if there's leftover money, boom, I can make my other son the beneficiary when he goes to college, and then he can use the leftover money. This is really cool because you can kind of like pass it on from generation to generation. You can also change your successor. So if I open the account and I own the account, then I use it for my son, and then I also use it for his son, and then I don't want to hold the account anymore because I'm old, right? And so I make the successor maybe my grandson, and then he can use it for his son, and he can use it for his grandkids. And so you can see how that was like 5 or 6 generations right there, and it's money that can sit there, and as each person in the line uses money, they also can contribute money as they get older and get their job, right? And then they pass it on to the younger generation and they use it. So it's really cool in that way, but obviously there are ways where if someone has, I don't know, 6 children, then it can become very complicated. Okay, so as mentioned before, this has to be used for educational purposes. Otherwise, you will get a penalty of 10% on the growth of your money. So John puts money in there, $1,000 year one, and at the end of year one, it's at $1,100. His original $1,000 plus the $100 he earned on growth, because you are putting your money in investments. All of a sudden something happens, he has to rip the money out and use it for something not education related. Well, they're gonna tax that $100, they're gonna tax it at a 10% rate for the most part. That's the easiest way to understand it. And this is significant when you compare it to other ways that you can save money that don't incur penalties or anything like that, because you're going to be putting your money into investments in this account. So generally speaking, it's probably going to be in the stock market. I do think there may be other options, but that's something you want to look at, because if you put money into investments, they're already going to charge you a fee to invest your money and manage it. It's a very small fee, and I think I looked at Fidelity and they have these 529 accounts, and they're pretty much all under 1%, up to about 1%. So that's 1% of your money gone right there. And then if you have to take money out just because you need it and you have to pay that penalty, that's another 10%. So it starts to add up. And if you have a lot of money in your account, then it's going to be a bad decision if you have to pull it out and take that penalty. But on the inverse, you know that people have to use it for educational purposes. So that includes things like tuition and room and board and books and a couple of other things, but not too much else. Just know that it also can be used for K through 12. But the guidelines for that are a little bit different, mainly just tuition, especially, you know, private schools have expensive tuition. So for that, but a lot of people use it for their secondary school or whatever it is, or their college, you know, that they want to go to, even some trade schools or whatever it is, if it's eligible. So you just have to double check and make sure that it's eligible for the 529 account. So otherwise, other good things are it's tax free. So obviously you're putting money into this that you already paid taxes on, you know, income. So there is that. It's taxed income that you're putting into this, but when you put it into it, there's no taxes, and when you pull it out, there are no taxes. So another thing that's interesting about this is that you can use it for student loans. So that's pretty cool. All right, you guys made it to the end. Last thing is financial aid. How does the 529 affect your financial aid? It is definitely gray area, it's very complex, but I'm gonna give you a very basic and overly simplified example that isn't correct, but it is going to lead you down the right path, just to kind of give you an idea of what you're looking at. So off top, there's like 5.5% that they consider that is in the 529 account. So whatever you have in the 529 account, maybe it's $100,000, 5.5% of that, they're going to consider that on the FAFSA form or whatever. And then additionally, what is more important is going into year 2, say my son goes and I give him $10,000 out of the 529. He pays for his tuition and he pays for his room and board and books and all of that with it, and everything's good. Well, year 2, they're gonna look at that $10,000 as earned income. And I think it's actually only half of that. So it would be $5,000 that counts against him for the second year when he fills out his FAFSA form. That's the main things that you need to keep in mind and try to understand. It is more complex than that, but the resource I'm going to give you will make everything more easy because they have a calculator on this website. So you can just plug in whatever your situation is and it'll figure it out for you. And that is savingforcollege.com. This is a wonderful resource. It's a great website that has all kinds of information about the 529. Anything that I didn't cover here, you can definitely hit up this website. One of the best things that I saw on this website was actually leads me to something that I forgot to tell you. You can apply for a 529 plan that is not your state that you live in. So just keep that in mind because your state, for example, California's 529 plan has state taxes involved into it, and it's not a great 529 plan. It's not one of the best ones. I do know that it is definitely possible. It's not illegal or anything like that. And you can get a 529 plan from a different state. Just find the one that you feel is best. And at that website, it also has the best 529 plan. So I'm gonna put a link down low in the description because I don't know how I got to it, but I found best 529 plans for 2021. And they have it set up really cool where you can put in different ones and compare them and see what really works for you. So I hope you gained something from this. Like I said, there will be a part 2 because there are many different ways you can save for your child. The 529 is very predicated upon them going to college or just their education in general. But there are other ways to save because you might want to be saving for education, but also when they want to buy a car or a house. So, and you may not know, hey, my kid, I don't know if he's gonna go to college or not. So, you know, they might go in the military or whatever else. So we'll see, they might be an entrepreneur. Who knows? I'm gonna get out of here because I said a lot. I hope I helped you guys out. And if you like it, go to my YouTube, subscribe. There's a bunch of videos there about parenting and adulting in general. And yeah, leave me a like and I'll catch you guys later. Peace and love, I'm out. Bada bing, bada boom.